Hi there. I'm Daphne Street. I'm with Films Gone Wild. And if you would please introduce yourselves to the audience and introduce the film.
Okay. I ate a piece of popcorn right before this, and there's like, like a little piece stuck right there. And I'm like, oh
I
gosh.
get it.
I'm Kristina Klebe. I am the writer, director, producer, and I star in Noxturne, my first my feature debut, directorial debut.
And
Fantastic.
I am Byron Clohessy, and I'm actor in and producer of Kristina Klebe's incredible film.
It is incredible. I recently watched it, and one of the things I want to talk about the music in particular. But also one of the most fascinating things is it has a lot of abstract elements to it,
Hmm.
but I never felt disoriented. There's also a very linear line that the audience can feel safe taking this journey with you too. And we never feel lost or confused or disoriented, but it also isn't crystal clear what exactly is real and what isn't, what is paranoia, what is actually happening. And I loved that feeling of safety in perfectly understanding the story, but not quite understanding where all the characters are coming from at all times. Tell me
Mhm.
a little bit about how that was writing that for you.
I guess you succeeded.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Um, I think this whole movie, the whole idea of the movie came from when I was lying in bed right after the accident. I was wearing a brace and I could only ever like I could lie flat or I could walk, but I couldn't sit, so it was kind of like I was either like, and at first I wasn't walking that much either, I was kind of just trying to rest and heal. And my friend said, well, like think about like Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo did a self-portrait. She did all these paintings when she was going through really horrible physical ailments and like her in her life. And I was like, for some reason that sparked this idea that there is something to this story and I could, kind of elevate the um I guess the what do you call it? Like oh my God, the stakes. I could kind of like make
Right.
the stakes bigger even than what we experienced in our personal relationship. But I'm like, I could use all these elements that we're going through and create an experience kind of what I personally experienced, which was questioning a lot of I didn't know Byron so well at this time.
Mm,
Only been together for 3 months. And so even though I did love him, but it was like that early love, where you're
yeah.
is this love or is this just passion? And we it kind of got interrupted. So the feeling of not knowing if you know this person or not
Mm,
while you are at your most insecure and feel so debilitated and not like yourself and you have no more he had to do between my parents and him, like everybody was like you know doing something and I felt very yeah, so I think that's where the story goes into maybe like the more dreamlike abstract world is really the world that we're living in our heads. That's what
that's fantastic. And I do recall reading some of the backstory that this was birthed from a personal experience, obviously fictionized, but the core of it was something that you were personally going through. To shift to the music a little bit, I recently was in New York City. I went to the Met to see Innocence, which is a modern opera about a school shooting. So there
Wow.
was a lot of controversy around it. But it was really phenomenal as I was watching clips of it and listening to the artists talk online about it, the build up to attending. And one of the things that the mezzo lead, Joyce DiDonato, said was when she's developing a character, the score serves as subtext. And my mind just kind of blew open because I studied opera. I've been doing this a long time. And I never thought of it exactly like that before, where the score isn't just supporting what's going on, it's creating its own kind of dialogue, uh, supporting, but sometimes not. Sometimes it's dissonant from what you're seeing and what's being said, and that perspective blew me away. And as I was watching your film, I was noticing the same thing, particularly with the instruments. When the guitar banged, or when someone's banging on the keyboard, or even when music is coming from the keyboard or the guitar, it was really changing the atmosphere of the story. Talk to me about the role music played in this film.
Mm. Yeah, well, I want to let you speak, but
Sure, I
I,
can just say a bit.
yeah.
I think that it is
Byron's a
movies
musician, you know, he's,
movies without music. I mean, it's not something that it. There's about a half an hour of score in our movie, and
Mm,
I think that
mm,
is
longer,
more
more,
than that. Yeah,
much
I think
more,
that's on the
because
low side. Uh, and going back in my watching films, I recall Kubrick's movies. I think
mm,
it was with Spartacus that really like I realized then it was like, wow, almost the entire movie or the majority of the movie has score in it. And what
yeah.
would this movie be without it? It's like, you think about it, it's like, wow, it is such a part of filmmaking.
yeah.
Uh, and in this case, Christina was, as she was about everything, she was so particular about the sound and the music and how it complemented each scene and the characters,
Yeah.
each character's development and so forth.
Like
It was just
some of it was written into the script, you know, so there's a song that plays in the cottage and then plays again later in the movie towards the end. And that's a song that my friend wrote. So when I write, I really get inspired by listening to music, and
Mm,
depending on what kind of music, I don't know, I guess I kind of like curate the music depending on what mood I'm trying to elicit. I think probably a lot of people do that. But this song, I don't know, I was like, I was listening to my friend's music and I was like, this song is perfect. I have to somehow integrate it. So I put it into the script. So then there was that. And then we, of course, had the nocturnes, all of them. So I really had to learn about the nocturnes. I didn't know all the nocturnes. I was like, wait, what are the different energies of the different nocturnes? And so then we, sprinkled those throughout. And this was before
wow.
we got the composer. Then the song that we sing in the cottage, I was looking at it also from a producerial standpoint. I was like, what can we get the rights for?
Right.
Coming up with rights, free rights or common, whatever you call it,
public
like
domain.
public domain. And that song had just come up, and I was like, well, this is perfect too. Like we
Oh,
could,
wow.
play this. You can play it on the guitar. I can kind of like, pretend I'm doing something on the piano. And so he learned that. Um, and then the rest was our composer, but she did such a great job, pulling it all together. She just,
Mm.
I think she was just did such a great job. And it is like
Well,
a kind of magical, we added like a magical element with the music that she, brought in. But
yeah, absolutely. It felt, every piece of it felt intentional.
yeah.
So, and that's rare. Normally, it's like, okay, background, we need something to fill this space.
Yeah.
where's the score? Where's the music? What mood do we want? But this was another level to that where you felt that it was setting the tone for, or maybe putting a question in the viewer's mind, outside of just, oh, okay, this is nice filler. This
We
was a little bit more than that.
we knew going we had Christina had decided going into this production that the sound and the music as a part of this
Mhm.
be it would be ve- very much a part of telling this
Yeah.
story. It had already been
And, we're
decided.
both musicians. I mean, Byron more so than I, but he was in a band, he plays the guitar. I grew up playing the piano. Of course, I've not kept up with it. And my least favorite music in the movie was the part at the end where I was like struggling. I wanted to do that as a one shot of me playing
Uh,
playing the Nocturne, and I had learned the song. I had learned it so well, but on the day, I could not perform it. It was horrible. I'm so used to like things working out. I'm like, no, 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 I
right,
will remember my lines. I don't have a problem. But music,
Well, this is the challenge of being an actor and a producer,
well, and a director, right? Because
actor,
right.
director,
I
and a
was,
costume designer.
Yeah,
no,
which hat are we wearing today?
my musical skill was not good enough to come like second nature in that moment.
Mm.
And I struggled to get through the whole I wanted to play. I had learned the whole piece and I could only get through certain bits at a time when we shot that. And that was so sad to me because I was like, oh, I really just wanted this one, shot or where we're going around the piano and I'm playing and instead we had to cut it, into, but it's, again, it's not
It
horrible.
works.
Just
Yeah,
me very picky wanting to.
absolutely understandable. One of the things that also is fascinating, since this was fictionalized but birthed from something real, what was it like revisiting some of those fears and insecurities and vulnerabilities? Did anything resurface? Did you have to have conversations about things that you weren't expecting? Tell me a little bit about that process.
I will honestly say that because I had so many things on my plate that I couldn't even let myself I couldn't even let myself feel those things, which is really weird to say, but I think it came more after production, more like
Uh,
um mm, it's very weird, but I felt like everything came very naturally. All the moments, all the emotions came to me very naturally because I could feel them and I had felt them. I think uh I don't know. I just had so much to think about that I couldn't even let myself
right.
dwell on them after we would like,
Shoot it and
end a scene.
yeah,
I don't know, like with you, with our fight scenes, I think the hardest part was directing Byron. That was my the hardest part because we're in a relationship and he already doesn't like to listen to anything I say, And then I had to tell him, no, do this and I need you to do
got it.
this.
Yep.
And he was like, really did not want to listen to me. But finally I got him around, right?
An actor wants to act. What can I say?
I know.
No, no. Um, I Christina obviously she took things from our lives as I think all writers do. They take things from their lives from what they know, and one of those was actually my struggle with alcohol, uh, and as which you can see in the character Roman's uh, uh, journey in the film. And for me, well, actually, I was I was getting help at the time before production. So I was spending some time alone, actually in New York City, working on this project. And it was, for me, it was actually uh, really, let me just say, like interesting to put that part of my life behind me, open up this
Mm.
chapter while examining, you know, kind of what I'd been through, maybe what I'd done, uh, and and so, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful
Hmm.
that for that because um, it was well, it was a challenge. It was a
Yeah.
challenge,
Yeah, I
to say the
bet.
least.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
challenges are good. They make us grow stronger. What doesn't kill
yes.
you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
We hope, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that how much time is in between the reality of what you dealt with to this?
Not that long. So I was only a year after I broke my back that we started shooting.
Oh, wow.
It was like a
Okay.
little over a year. Now it will be like 3.5 years. And it's because
Mhm.
it took us so long to get through post. It really just,
Right.
like it was just we had to do things step by step, payment by
Mhm.
payment,
Yeah.
like, and
Actually, Christina did an incredible job steering this ship, and I don't think too many people would have been able to accomplish this. We hit
Oh,
some
exactly.
obstacles. Just
yeah.
I'll just be quite
No,
frank,
let's like not even,
personnel,
yeah, let's
and
not even
it
like
was
talk
very
about it. It's
difficult,
not,
and it took time, and to be able to rebound from
it's
from
hard.
from those things, it
Artists,
was it
it's
was
hard
it was I give you all the credit in the
because
world.
it was more the producing aspect that was the hard part for me personally,
Sure.
because you have to actually like fire people sometimes, you know?
Hmm.
And I don't like to do that because I'm like, I want everything to work out with everybody.
Right.
And because I'm an artist, I want to like create art. I want to, make things. I don't want, but then you think, oh gosh, well now this is taking really long and it's not coming together. And
Yeah.
how do I manage this personality? This happened more so in, I'd say that it's really did not happen very much, but it happened a couple times. It really stressed me out to the point
Well,
where
of course.
I was like, I
And
can't.
I love that we're talking about this because a lot of filmmakers will experience this.
Mhm.
And it's why a lot of films don't ever get completed. They're in the can, but they can't make it through post because of what you're talking about right now. And one of the things I spend my career doing is interviewing very, very successful people in many different walks of life. And the one thing that I say differentiates everybody, those that really achieve something amazing and those who wish they would or wish they could, um, is that thing where you are willing to push through things that feel impossible
Mm.
and being ready and able and willing to go through it anyway, even when it seems like there's no way this is going to work anymore, but you keep doing it, and that's where success is. And so I love that we're having this kind of uncomfortable, on the nose
That's
conversation.
when I
Yeah.
learned that I wanted to marry this woman because she was willing to push through anything.
Yeah,
She conquered.
including the illness and the injury. And
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I'm still working. I said like my parents and everybody's like, you need to get off. Finally, if this movie is out there, does that mean you're going to not be on your computer all the time? And because I have to get like, I have really let, you know, yeah, like I need to get healthy again physically as well,
yeah,
start doing, even if it's just going on long walks. Like we took a long
right.
walk today, but I don't even do that anymore. Like because I don't want to run. I don't want to hurt my back. I don't want to be in pain then after I work out or something because it ultimately always ends up hurting. And it's like,
Oof.
it's unfortunately, just going to be a part of the rest of my life. And that's just
Yeah.
what it is. I'm glad I can walk, but yeah, working with people, that was the hardest part. You trying to manage. The one piece of advice I would tell people is if you notice that something's not working with somebody, it's better to get to end that relationship earlier
Yeah.
rather than later, because but I know it's our natural instinct. We want to work things out. We're like, oh, I can see that they can do this, or like, but just cut your losses. Be like, oh,
Yeah.
well, lost that money, but moving on, because it's just not worth the if you notice that and you have that instinct, go with it. That's what I would say.
I love that. It's how I feel about lawsuits. I might be completely correct and I have all the evidence. It is not worth my energy to put myself through that. I would rather just go out and make more money and put that in the past.
I think usually that is the best way to do it. I'm European, but it is hard. Sometimes you think like I think the only time a lawsuit is good is if you think it might help prevent something bad from happening to
Correct.
somebody else.
Yeah,
I think that's really the only good
I agree
outcome.
completely. Yeah, that's my litmus test as well. Um, is there anything else that you would like either filmmakers or audiences to know about this film before they sit down and experience it?
I really would just love for people to not to experience it. And my
Mm.
my personal fear is that maybe I was too daring with the first like 5 minutes of the movie, because there's some like nudity and sex. I mean, but I wanted to do that. I wanted to show passion, and I wanted to show I didn't want to play it safe at all, right? And I just hope people don't turn it off because they're like, oh, sex.
Oh,
I don't know why. Like, I guess maybe, I did grow up Catholic, so my parents are like,
the guilt is pretty heavy.
the guilt is so strong, so strong. So I'm always like, I hope people just watch the whole movie and experience it because it really is meant to be a journey. So you experience these things as she's experiencing them, you know?
I liked it. I thought that it introduced where this relationship was. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
when you're 3, 5, 10 years into a relationship, that's not that hot. I mean, it's still hot, but it's not that hot because you're not, it's not
Yeah,
new. It's
exactly.
not trying to figure each other out and what's going to happen. And this is kind of exciting. And it doesn't mean everything goes on autopilot, but we get a sense that this is new in the relationship, that this is not, a couple who's been married for 10 years. We get a sense of what this relationship is about. And I loved that. And
I'm happy because I'm so nervous that that's like the thing that people are like, again, it's the
well,
guilt.
and when your film
Religion
was introduced,
talking. I'm so scared. I hate that about religion, that it tells us we can kill people, but we can't make love. I'm like, really? Like, that's so weird, you
it
know?
is weird,
Like, we should
totally weird.
join
But yeah,
human
when I
connection.
was when I was introduced to the film, the person introducing it said, "Yeah, there's some sexy time in there, but it's really artfully done." And I'd agree. That's exactly how it came across.
I'm happy. And because, like you start to have, but yeah, so I would just, my wish for people is when they watch it is to just take that hour and a half and watch it.
Just sink in.
Exactly. I hope for the same thing. After all, it's an hour and 32 minutes long, and I understand that today oh, that could be maybe a little difficult to get through with TikTok and everything, but but it's only an hour 32, and I I am really proud of this film, but I really believe that Kristina, I don't know about me as a producer, but that's yet to be seen. But Kristina as a filmmaker
Mm,
has a future that uh, is it's I've when I talk about this film, because I've had to sell this film, uh,
right.
so I think of many of the filmmakers who have come before or are popular now, who have really uh, pushed the boundaries in one way or another. I think back to something like, and I don't necessarily like them myself. Like, I remember watching Eraserhead, but thinking like what the hell is this about? What's going on? Like I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't watch it again. I've since come to appreciate a lot of David Lynch's work and everything like that.
Right.
Christina took a huge risk here, and I think it's maybe hard to articulate in this moment, but between the score that you brought up, between the practical effects, the special effects, the visual effects, all of which she conceived of, you know,
Right.
I hope people out there really can appreciate that and give her an opportunity to build on that moving forward, because she has so much to offer, and I don't mean that just because I love her. I mean that because
I mean, he means it
I'm a
because he loves
cinephile
me.
to a
I
degree
told him
as
to
well.
say all of that.
You wrote it out for
I
us?
wrote it out. I was like, this is our next script. Here you go.
No, truthfully, I see all of that as I mentioned up front. And the production value, you can always tell when an indie filmmaker understands their job when they work like a nonprofit. They can make $100 look like 1,000, and that was evident throughout. So excellent work.
No, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Daphne.
That makes me happy because that was another goal. I was like, it cannot look like what we
Right.
made this for. Because I want people to, I mean, if people are going to watch a movie, the worst thing is if somebody pays for a movie and then they're like, oh, what, I can't
That
see.
was a
So
waste of an
dark.
hour and 20
Yeah, right.
minutes.
Like that's
Yeah.
so dark. Like, or, I'm like, I'm certainly not doing this for the money. This was too much of my life to, but I want
Right.
people to enjoy something. Now, I would have done a lot of other stuff, and I hopefully will be able to do other stuff when I have a bigger budget down the line,
Mhm.
but even then I'm like, I think there's a lot of waste in our business. I'm not saying like waste.
Of
I
course.
want people to get paid. Actually, that's not the wasteful part, but
Mhm.
like the it just feels like if we're going to make indie movies, we should mm, not be making them. Oh, I don't know. I shouldn't say should or not should. I'm trying to like word it properly. Like
The
I
optimum
think there's
would be,
another category of movies maybe that we're like we need more money for. That's not these $5 million indies. That's not an
yeah,
indie. Like mm, the money needs to just be used differently, not go to the big corporate tops of, yeah,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not like being very clear about it, but
No, it's it's
um,
it's it's a great message to make sure it is articulated, is that indie filmmakers do operate like nonprofits. They can make $100 look like 1,000, but we can't do anything with zero.
exactly. Yes.
So give us something to
Thank
work with,
Yeah.
right? 50,000, 100,000,
Yeah.
250,000 is a
Yeah.
dream for an indie
God,
filmmaker.
absolutely. Absolutely. You
And
can
a budget, a studio film, they'd laugh at you. They wouldn't know what to do with that $250,000.
Exactly, because they would spend that on just like marketing, like one poster that they put out, like
Right.
it's yeah, there's a disconnect.
Agreed. Awesome.
But
Perfect.
hopefully we can figure out how to, make movies like this.
But
And
I love that you even struggled with the topic because money is hard to talk about.
yes,
You're afraid to insult people. Well, I don't mean for $250,000 to sound like nothing,
yeah,
or I don't mean for $1,000 to sound like a miracle. But in
yeah,
indie filmmaking, those little points are huge.
yeah, yeah,
And it can be hard to talk about because again, our culture doesn't like talking about sex and it doesn't like talking about money.
yeah,
Um, but it's important to do. So first of all, we don't feel all alone. We're all in the same boat.
yeah,
Of it may not cost a ton of money in some people's minds for you to sit down and write a script. But what are you delaying? What are you putting off? What are you ignoring in your life to
mhm.
pour all of yourself into creating something?
That's
I've quit
good.
jobs because I couldn't do the things creatively I needed to do.
That is
So,
such a good point. And that's actually, I said the other day, I was like, you know what? It's not just that I've put so much work into this movie, but I very often don't do my voiceover auditions on time
right,
because I'm just like, I can't even think about doing that audition right now, which is probably costing me work,
right.
and so it's like, and of course, I'm not getting paid. And I'm just trying to, like learn about export settings and become like an excellent post-production manager, like this is,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, to answer your question, it would be wonderful if somehow we served as inspiration for other filmmakers. That would
mhm.
be wonderful.
Yeah.
We've been through so much. Kristina has been through so much, and and uh, and so and that's why ultimately when we were asked, well, listen, guys, what are your goals?
Hmm.
Is there a few that, there are only a few that you really need to consider. And when we thought about it, well, ultimately, we just want as many eyes on this movie as
Yeah,
possible.
yeah,
And because if we can inspire some other artists out there, especially during this time,
yeah,
and especially while this industry is, let's just put it this way, in flux,
Right.
yeah,
so much, then that would be
yeah. I
wonderful.
think people can make their movies. It's just that you have to think about, yeah, what do you have at your disposal? What can you, write that where you have things that you can use, like actors that or friends, or um, a location, obviously, and
Mhm.
turning that location into as many things as possible,
And then
including
just
doctors'
and then
offices.
just do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for this interview. I did genuinely love the film,
Thank you.
and best of luck and success to you. You're premiering in New York in a couple days, right?
This Thursday,
Yeah.
city, Lower East Side at the East Village Angelica,
At the
right?
Village East
The,
Angelica, 5 p.m. as a part of the Big Apple Film Festival.
yep.
We
Awesome.
made this movie greatly in Manhattan, and so we're going to be having our New York City premiere, and it's just really
With
exciting.
our New York actors, actor friends, family, parents.
Fantastic.